All right, I think we are good to go. Like I said, welcome everyone to this ClassPoint 101 training session. I'm Sarah from Inkno, super excited to have you guys here joining us, learning how to use ClassPoint. My colleague Paige is also in the webinar. We'll be answering questions in the chat if you guys have them, but we'll also have a Q&A session at the end. So we can go over any questions that you guys have. Okay, today we are going to get started with just a quick overview on how to download and register for ClassPoint. We'll go through setting up all of your tools and your presentation in edit mode, and then we'll walk through the gamification and quiz mode features, along with reviewing, resetting, and sharing your presentation after you're done presenting. And then we'll end with that Q&A session. So ClassPoint is an all-in-one teaching tool that's built right into PowerPoint to help you guys better present all of your presentations and your teachings. So what exactly makes ClassPoint an all-in-one teaching tool? Well, first, ClassPoint has a presentation toolkit to help you improve your lesson delivery, your audience engagement with different annotation and teaching tools, along with interactive quiz questions that will help turn your slides into a student response activity that students can then participate using their own devices. And then lastly, we have a gamified reward system that allows you to award stars, however you would like to reinforce participation, achievement, or behavior. So first things first, to be able to use ClassPoint, you guys first must download it from classpoint.io. So I'm just going to open up our embedded browser here and just give you guys a quick look, just so that you all know where to get it from, just in case you don't have ClassPoint downloaded yet. So in ClassPoint on the website, you guys can click the little menu on the side, or you'll be able to see the download now button right up top. Once you click that, ClassPoint will download and install on your device. And then you'll be able to see it in the ClassPoint, or in your PowerPoint ribbon, excuse me. So see our ClassPoint tab in the PowerPoint ribbon. You guys can then click this sign up key to sign in or to sign up or log in if you already have an account, and then you'll be led to view your user profile. So once you get all signed into ClassPoint, you'll be able to see all of the features and access everything that ClassPoint has to offer, which is included in this ClassPoint tab in PowerPoint, along with this toolbar when you're in presentation mode, and our class code right up here at the top. So our ClassPoint tab, this one, this big one here in our edit mode, has everything that you guys need to use when you're teaching, when you're setting up your presentation, then managing it and reviewing it after class. In your presentation mode, you'll see the toolbar right here at the bottom. And this has all of the different teaching tools that are super handy and easy to use in a nice location. That includes like our annotation tools, that embedded browser, and some other tools that we're going to cover throughout the training. And this last piece is our class code. So our class code, these codes are how students are going to join those interactive questions that I mentioned before, and where you can switch between your classes. So you can choose to either use a public class code, or you can create one of your own to help streamline that joining process. So those are our three main interfaces of ClassPoint. And to get started with some of our training, let's get into setting up a presentation. So we'll go ahead and enter our edit mode here and take a look at this ClassPoint tab. There we go. So I've already mentioned the user profile here, where you guys can check out some information on your profile. Then we have our 8 different interactive quiz question types. And then this My section here is a section for all of your customizable personal tools. So it's where you can go ahead and add your class into ClassPoint. You can set up any drag and drop your draggable objects during your presentation, and where you can add any customizable whiteboard backgrounds. This review section here, we're mainly going to cover at the end of our training session. So it's where you can view results from your quiz mode. You can share your PowerPoint file as a PDF, and you can reset your presentation to get prepped for your next lesson. In our settings here, we have information on your subscription, your user profile again, and then also your slideshow settings. So if you ever don't need ClassPoint for one of your presentations, you can toggle on and off the class code and the toolbar. We also have some customizable gamification settings here, along with changing your language. And then after this session, if you guys still have any questions on a certain feature, you can always go ahead and watch some tutorials right inside PowerPoint. So we have our 3 main ones, but we also have lots of different videos on all of the features. So make sure you guys check those out if you have questions, or don't be afraid to reach out to our team for further help. Okay, now let's go ahead and set up some activities that you would do in your presentations before you begin presenting to help better engage your students. So the first thing that we're going to go over is a ClassPoint presentation tool, which is our draggable objects. So you guys saw me move these squares from over top of these icons when I was in presentation mode. So that was an example of using our draggable objects. But you can actually set any shapes, text, images, icons to be draggable during your presentation. That way you can freely move them around your slide when you are presenting. So this is great to help as a visual aid. You can also use it to create visual interest with students, or you can set it up as an activity for matching or labeling or sorting. So we are going to go ahead and set up an example, and we are going to use the draggable objects also for an activity on recalling periodic table elements that we will then remove these squares to reveal which element it was behind, if our students got it correct or not. So first things first, like I said, you guys can do any shapes, text, images. We can go ahead and just quickly add a shape over what we want to reveal. I'll change the color. There we go. Oops. Awesome. Okay. So now that our activity, or this draggable objects example as an activity, is set up, we can go ahead and make our objects draggable. So to do that, make sure we're in ClassPoint, and we can go ahead and select this draggable objects icon. So this will bring up our side panel here. And all you have to do is click on the shape that we want to be draggable and just turn on this toggle. Turn on the toggle. And now when we get into presentation mode, we can go ahead and move this shape around on our slide. If you guys have more than one object on your slide that you want, just make sure you hold down the shift key, and then you can go ahead, select them all here and turn on that toggle. If you guys ever forget which objects on your slide are draggable, you can just go ahead and click this eye icon, and we'll quickly highlight those objects for you. So that is our draggable objects activity. Pretty easy to set up, but now to further interact with our students, let's go ahead and and if they're using a device, let's go ahead and set up some interactive quiz questions that we'll want to ask our students during class. So I have let's get rid of this. I have a multiple choice question that we can go over setting up together first. So the first thing that you guys want to do when setting up an interactive quiz question is making sure your question text is on your slide. So you want to write out your question. That way students will be able to see it. So students, when they join on your device, will have this slide broadcasted, and that's where they can see the question. And if we're running an a multiple choice question like we are here, we can go ahead and add some options that they will see as well. So once the design is complete, we can go ahead and click the multiple choice button from the ClassPoint tab. So this will put the interactive button on your slide. You guys can move this around, make it bigger, make it smaller, however fits your design. And then we want to set the customizable settings here in the side panel to match your slide. So we have our 4 options here, and that already matches. But if you guys, when you're setting up your slide, you can have anywhere from 2 to 8 different options. If you guys have multiple choices that you want students to select, you can select this box. Otherwise, we can just go ahead and, for this example, the correct answer is A. So it's just one option for us there. And that is all you guys need to do to set up a multiple choice question. We do have some different play options down here. This is just how the behavior of the question will run when you're in presentation mode. So if you want to know more about that, throw it in the chat and we can kind of talk about that at the end. But I also do want to mention, let's go through one more question. There are, like I said, the 8 different question types, but only 2 of them have set correct answers. So that is our multiple choice and our fill in the blanks. So with our fill in the blanks, you can also set that correct answer similar to multiple choice. So in the same way, design your slide, make sure you have the options where you want students to fill in that part of the blank. And when we select that question type, we can put it on our slide. And let's have our side panel match the slide that you designed as well. So we have our 3 blanks here. And we do have some correct answers for these that we will want students to get correct, mark those down. So we can just go ahead, select this box, and you'll see a space for each one of the blanks that you guys can put the correct answer in. So I can just go ahead and paste this. Oops. I guess we'll type them. And then just hit enter, and your answer will be there to be corrected. And lastly, you guys, when you're doing the fill in the blanks, you can set more than one correct answer. So let's say you're running a math question where maybe the correct answer is a number. You can type out the number or put in the actual number. That way, if students are responding one versus the other, they get it correct for no matter which form they put in. In addition, another feature that fill in the blanks has is being able to hide those participant names. So this might be something that you guys are interested in if you want students to submit a response and want them to not feel guilty or embarrassed for putting in something wrong. You guys can go ahead and check this, and it will hide those participant names automatically for you. Okay, so those are our 2 questions. And the last thing that you guys are going to want to do before you start presenting and beginning a live presentation with your class is adding your student names into ClassPoint. So especially when you're using these interactive quiz questions, adding your class gives you more control and helps streamline that joining process for students. However, these classes can still be used whether students are using devices or not. So the first thing that you guys want to do is click on this class list, and we can go ahead and add a new class. So we can go ahead and give it a name here. And then you also wanted to give it a class code. So this class code is where this is how it's going to differentiate between your different classes and what students are going to use when they join for the questions. So we can go ahead, click next here, and then you can add your student names. So you can type them or you can import them from a CSV. So if you have just a simple list of all your student names, you can go ahead, import that list, and they'll all be added into this class. Okay, great. So we have our class all set up. Now let's go back into that presentation mode and begin our live class. We'll go back up here. Okay, great. So the first thing that you guys are going to want to do when you begin one of your live classes after you've set up and created your class is let's go ahead and change to that class. So click on your class code. Then when you go to change your class, you can go ahead and click on the class that you want to use, and all of your student names will be imported into this class. So now that we're ready and all set up, let's start with going over a few of ClassPoint's presentation tools. So here at the bottom, you guys can see all of ClassPoint's different annotation tools. We have our different pen colors that you guys can change the color and also the thickness to begin annotating right on your slides as needed. And then you'll notice that it's super easy to switch between the pens and the highlighters and even our shapes. So ClassPoint has an array of different shapes that you guys can add. You can also change the color of these and determine if you want just an outline or if you want it filled in or not. And these shapes can then be moved around, placed where you need it, or deleted if you don't need it any longer. So those are our ClassPoint shapes. Let's just add a couple here. And if you do find that you're running out of space for other information, or a student had a question that you weren't prepared for and that you want to use the whiteboard, you no longer have to put up a projector or move around to go to a whiteboard. You can actually go ahead and open a whiteboard right from the ClassPoint toolbar. So we have a bunch of preset templates here for you that you can choose from, or you can go ahead and add your own to really fit your classroom. But for now, let's just go ahead and add a piece of paper. And in addition to our pens, highlighters, and those shapes, we also have a text box, which is super great In addition, if you guys do not have a touchscreen device. So sometimes that annotating can be super tough, but now these text boxes allow you to have that freedom, just like those without a touchscreen device. So with the text boxes as well, you can change the color of the text or add a background there and move them around, make them bigger, so that way it really fits what you need for your information. Okay, let's go on to another one of our presentation tools, which is going to be that draggable objects, in addition to our that draggable objects activity. So with our draggable objects and a lot of ClassPoint's other presentation tools, you can actually use them all combined together. So we have a lot of tools that you guys are familiar with and use probably every day in your classroom, like a timer, a browser if you're going to search the web, and our name picker. So for this example, I want to set a timer here for my students. Let's just go ahead and set it to a minute. And I will want students to take out a piece of paper and write down what they think is behind each one of these boxes. Once that timer is up, oops, let me hide this. Okay, there we go. Once our timer is up, we can go ahead and use ClassPoint's name picker to determine which one of our students should let us know what they think the answers are behind one of the boxes. Okay, so we've pulled George's name. We can go ahead then and ask George to tell us to reveal one of the boxes with our draggable objects. So make sure you click the draggable objects icon. You'll see again a quick highlight of those boxes. And George has said, okay, I think behind element 19, it's going to be potassium. So we can go ahead, reveal the box, and he did get it correct. Hey, George. So let's go back into our name picker. We can click on his name and we can give him a star for getting that answer correct. Okay, so there's lots of other presentation tools that you guys can use at any point during your presentation. So they can all be opened right from the toolbar, no matter which slide that you guys are on. But let's go ahead and move on to some of our interactive quiz questions. So I'm going to invite you guys to go ahead and join the class if you want here. That way you can also see what students experience. So because I have this set class code, only the students who are listed here can join this class. You can only join if you're using one of these names. However, I can just go ahead and allow guests here. That way, any of you guys can go ahead and join with your name here. That just adds a little bit of extra security to your classrooms. In addition, if you guys need that extra, you can also lock your class and then no more students will be able to join. So as you guys are joining the class, I am going to continue on, but you guys can just go to ClassPoint.app and then type in this class code and your name and then to join the class. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our first interactive quiz question, which is that multiple choice. So once you guys are ready, you're ready to receive those responses from students, go ahead and click on the interactive quiz button here. And as responses come in, you will be able to see them live on screen once we remove the eye icon there. So once, like I said, you guys will see all of those responses come in. And I'm just, let's see, I'll give it a little bit of more time for people to join. But if people have not responded that you're kind of waiting for, you guys can always check on the live status here to go ahead and give a little kick to those who haven't responded. Okay, let's go ahead. We can close this and you guys can reveal the answers and review all of these responses. So it's closed. We can go ahead, show that correct answer. And to see exactly who submitted this answer, you can go ahead and click on one of the bars. And let's go ahead and give everyone a star for getting that correct. So that is our multiple choice question. And now let's run through our fill in the blanks question. That way you guys can see this one as well. So our fill in the blanks question, you guys maybe don't want your students to be able to see the responses as they come in. So this is where this eye icon comes in. You can hide the responses from view from here and leave this up, or you guys can minimize this. That way your students can see the whole slide and you'll see this yellow button. So the yellow button just means that the question is now in progress and you guys can see a timer and how many people have responded. And then to open it back up and reveal all the answers and to check out that response window, just go ahead, click on the button again, and we can check out the answers here. So as students are submitting, you'll be able to see their name or just stars, like we checked boxed that high participant name. So that way it is anonymous. And then you'll be able to see who submit or all of the different blanks that the person submitted. Once we get a couple of the answers in, we can just go ahead. We'll give this a quick close just so that we can reveal some of the answers here. So once it's closed, you guys can see, oh, it looks like I have terrible spelling, everyone, so sorry. You guys can reveal the answers. So you'll see that the answers that are red are wrong and the green ones are correct. But if you guys do know someone spelled it wrong or that the answer, like you would accept another answer, you can always go ahead and give that student a star for something that they submitted. To really dive deeper into who submitted what and get more data on that, we can go ahead and show this correct answer here. You guys will be able to see a percentage of everyone who got that answer correct or not. If you guys do have the high participant names unchecked, that way you can see who submitted what. And you can also go ahead, sorry, excuse me. So even though we do have the high participant names unchecked, we can still dive deeper into who got them correct or not. So if you don't want to show your whole class, maybe check this out after class, and then you can still award student stars or kind of make sure that everyone is on the same page. So let's give these guys some stars for getting them correct. Great. And in the interest of time, even though we do have a lot of other questions, I still do want to show you guys some responses for another question type, which is our word cloud. But because of time, we don't have to run the question. I can just show you guys the responses. So this green button here means there are responses stored inside. So we can just go ahead and click on that to open it up, and you guys will be able to see our word cloud. So with the word cloud, you can search up an answer here. And just like the multiple choice, you can click on one of them and to see who submitted it and award those stars. You can also delete any responses, or if you're ready to begin another round of this question, you can go ahead and restart it. And then lastly, I do want to mention that any of these responses you guys can insert as a slide right into your PowerPoint presentation. That way you can review it a little bit deeper during class with your students and annotate right on the page or after class. So those were just 3 of our question types. However, we do have the 8 other ones in addition to our quick poll. So our quick poll is just an ad hoc question type. So maybe it's just something that you didn't set up beforehand, but you still want to get some feedback or opinions from your students or your audience. You can go ahead and use this question type. Okay, so you guys have seen me awarding stars throughout this presentation, and this is all part of ClassPoint's gamification. So ClassPoint's gamification does consist of students being awarded or them receiving stars throughout different points in your presentation, which then help them level up and earn different level badges. And then you can show them their rankings with the ClassPoint leaderboard, and also add in a little bit of friendly competition with this leaderboard. So as you guys can see, we have 2 different leaderboards. One is for the current class session. So this is all the points that they've been awarded just for that specific session, versus the total stars rank, which is going to be accumulation of all their stars throughout any time that you've used that specific class code and that class in your presentations. So maybe this has been throughout the year or throughout the quarter or throughout the semester. You can go ahead, show them the overall rank versus their rank for just that day if needed. So there are lots of different ways to award stars, which is the first step of this process. So they can be awarded throughout many of ClassPoint's features. So as you guys saw throughout the different question types, in addition to that name picker, or at any time in the My Class dialog. So you guys can award students stars to track their progress through their behavior or for different participation or for activities in class. ClassPoint's gamification is also super versatile. So there are lots of different ways that you guys can use it. And one example is that you guys can go ahead and give points or stars for students who get understanding checks or in-class quiz questions correct, and then turn that into a friendly competitive quiz game, which is super easy if you guys are using ClassPoint questions. But if students forgot their device, they can always write down their answers on a piece of paper or a whiteboard, and then show that to you, and then you can go ahead and give them those stars right from the My Class window. Because as you guys can see, the green dots here mean that a student is online versus the gray dots is the student is offline. So you can still award points to students even if not everyone is present on their device that day. Okay, and then the second example for using gamification in your classroom is you can always give them stars to reward and motivate their active participation. So maybe you guys want to award them stars for asking good questions or volunteering, taking notes. You can always go ahead and give them a star for that active participation. So there's lots of other different ways that you guys can use this in your classroom. It's super adjustable and customizable to really fit your classroom. So including that customization of ClassPoint levels from that window in our settings that I showed you guys in edit mode. So you can customize those levels to really fit your classroom and then use those levels and the leaderboard to take it up a notch and offer rewards for different levels earned throughout your classroom. So maybe once students get to level 5, they can pick a prize out of the prize box. Or you guys can set a goal and offer students a prize for maybe the top ranking students at the end of the quarter from the leaderboard. And the last way for you guys to award stars to students automatically is with our quiz mode feature, which is on the Pro plan. So this is a formative assessment tool that you guys can use to test students' knowledge right in class. There's no need to wait for homework and waiting for the next day. You can go ahead and just adjust your teaching instantly depending on how your students respond because of this added data that you can view in the quiz summary, which could then be exported into Excel for further review and analyzation after class. Okay, so that is all that we need to know and to go over with our presentation. So once you're done with a live class, what comes next is reviewing, resetting, and sharing your presentation back in edit mode. So let's go ahead and exit this. And the first thing that you guys might want to do when you're done with the class is share it with your audience and with your students. So you can do that super easily with our Share PDF feature. So if you guys want to share all of your slides with them, you can go ahead and do that, or you can just go ahead and select a few of them if you only want students to receive, the most important ones. You can also toggle off and on these annotations if you don't want them to see those and you just want them to have like that bare deck that you started with. So once you've decided on what you want to share with your students, just click the Generate PDF button and ClassPoint will begin turning your PowerPoint file into a PDF that students can receive via that QR code. So if you are joined into the class, you will receive it automatically on your device. So you guys should see that pop up. But if students aren't joined on their device, they can go ahead and scan the PDF, or you guys can open it and just copy and paste this and send it to them, and they can save it through there. And then maybe you guys will also want to review your presentation after class and after the students are gone in more detail. So any of the interactive quiz questions, when you guys are on the slide and you click the button in the side panel, if you guys scroll down, you'll see a View Responses button. So you can actually review all of these responses right in your PowerPoint edit mode. You don't have to be in presentation for this. So that is a good way to review all of those responses. And then lastly, before you begin your next presentation, if you're using the same slide deck, it is good to note that ClassPoint buttons can only hold one set of responses at a time. So if you want to use this deck again, make sure you save it under a different name, and then we can go ahead and reset it for the next class. So that will include if you're doing a trial run or anything like that where you have responses, but you want it to be cleared out before the next class, make sure you guys hit this Delete Responses button. You can also delete any annotations and whiteboards that might be in your file, in addition to resetting your draggable objects. So you'll always get this pop-up warning for those. You can go ahead and select yes there. And then you're all ready and prepped for your next lesson. Okay, so we just went over a lot of features, and with quiz mode, I did mention that was on Pro. So we do want to clarify what features are on ClassPoint's free version, what features are on ClassPoint's Pro version. So the basic version of ClassPoint, you guys do have a limit on the class size and how many questions are in your PowerPoint file, in addition to question types. So only these first 5 are on the free version. Our fill in the blanks, audio and video are on ClassPoint Pro. And then our draggable objects, you're limited to 3 there, and then also 3 Sage classes. So if you really want unlimited access to all of those, like the questions and the participants, those draggable objects, etc., then make sure you guys go ahead and upgrade to the Pro version, which also has the customizable levels and both of those leaderboards. We will have a coupon for you guys at the end of the webinar that will be shared. If you guys are interested in upgrading to Pro, you can go ahead and use that. But otherwise, I would love to hear some of your guys' questions. Let me know what we have. And I can answer anything that you guys have.
So there is a question about clarifying the saving or exporting responses not in gamification mode. And I think that's actually a great question. I'll just start answering if that's okay.
Yeah.
The gamification versus the quiz mode are actually quite different from each other. They do both use stars, but the quiz mode is more of a serious formative assessment. It doesn't have to be serious, but it can be used as a formative assessment with that exportable spreadsheet of the answers. It only works for MCQ, whereas the gamification can kind of be used freely how you'd like, and that can be used for any of the questions, as well as not interactive questions themselves. Like Sarah mentioned, there's many ways you could implement it during your presentations. But exporting the responses, so do you want to explain how they can save all responses outside of quiz mode? Because that is a different format. Quiz mode, again, has that quiz summary that you can review inside the ribbon. All the other question types, the responses will be saved on the slide themselves.
Yes, perfect. So when if you want to view, export some of that data, you guys can go ahead and just insert that as a slide in your presentation and export this view, save the slide as an image onto your presentation or outside of your presentation, and you can view those responses there. You can also add into your notes more details on like who submitted what. But as of right now, this is hopefully being updated our reporting features. So if you guys do want to see more of that, please write into support and it'll get updated a little bit quicker, hopefully. But as of right now, the only way to kind of export all that data besides your quiz summary is going to be by inserting them as a slide.
Thanks. Another question is, can you remove a star if you've mistakenly given someone?
Yes, that is a great question. Okay, so there's 2 ways to do that. When you are in your presentation mode, if you've accidentally given a student a star, let's say here, you guys can always go ahead and click this down arrow to go ahead and remove that star from them. So we got to see that nice little level transition there. So that is probably the easiest way, but if you also need to edit anybody's stars, you can do so from your class list in PowerPoint edit mode. So there's 3 dots over here. You can just go ahead and adjust those stars as needed. In addition to changing names, adding more students, and resetting those stars or changing any of the information here.
Thanks, Sarah. Someone has a question about a blurry photo or image that they embed in their PowerPoint slide when the participants view it on their side. Wondering, it says, when I present the images I've added as screenshots appear blurry to participants. Is there a glitch?
Erin, do you mean, sorry, images like that you've added when you're in edit mode, or as screenshots, in which manner? Because I would say that I'm not super familiar with this, but I can check with support to see if there's something that's different between like adding just a regular PNG versus a, let me see, there we go.
Thank you. Yeah. Hi, guys. So I guess my question is specific to when I'm in presentation mode, the objects that appear clear to me when I'm presenting on the actual participant laptop, or I can understand a phone maybe because it's kind of condensed, but on a laptop, it's a lot blurrier than, it's not like a 100% what you see on the screen is exactly the replica that they see in front of them. And so I'm just wondering, like, if there is, so sorry, dogs are pretty wild today. Is there a better way to like to get a screenshot? What I've been doing is like snipping it, but is it better if I like try to embed the image versus the snip in terms of the participant experience?
Not that I know of. It may be a glitch, but if you send your PowerPoint file to us, we can take a look and see a little bit deeper on like where that is coming from. I'm super sorry. I don't exactly know which is better for the images. But I would be happy to send, like, if you can, Paige can maybe put my email in the chat for anybody who has questions as well, but you can send it to me and I can make sure we take a look at it just to see if that's because I would imagine it's a glitch, because for most of us, when we have images there, they do look about the same for presenters and students.
We can follow up with you on that, definitely.
But otherwise, if there are no more questions, you guys are free to go. Thank you guys so much for joining us and learning. Hopefully you guys got a nice kickstart into learning about ClassPoint and can begin using it in your presentations.
Thank you, Sarah.